All right, guys, welcome to this video. We're gonna do a Q&A, talk land, life, business, schmizness, and everything in between. If you guys enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, man. It means the world. Seriously, let's get this out to more people. Let's spread the good word. And before we get started, I wanna let you guys know, landinvestor.co/discord. That is our free land investing community. Come hang out with us. There are, at this point, over 1,000 6- and 7-figure land investors in there. And frankly, it is a community fostered on giving to the next person. Whether you're inside of Leah or not, I can promise you that you're gonna walk away a better land investor for hanging out there. But my one request is if you do join, do not just be a taker, be a giver. When you see the opportunity to provide value to someone else, make sure you pay it forward, because frankly, that is what has built this community. So without further ado, let's answer some questions. Now first, some juice. As some of you might know, I just moved to Bali and we're in the process of buying a villa. Now, one of the questions were, what was the economics behind this deal? What does it look like? First off, we're buying a villa via a leasehold. It's about a 29-year lease on this villa. We'll be living here for 1 to 3 years, and then we'll most likely turn it into a short-term rental. The one that we have an offer out on right now is a 3-bedroom with the option to build a 4th bedroom for about $15,000 to $20,000. It's 2 stories. It's 300 square meter lot. It's a pretty large lot for the area, right outside of a little area called Prairinon. It's kind of in the ultimate path to progress. It's in a really good location. No development around it currently. It's no houses next to it, but I'm sure that's going to change at some point. So the offer, this thing was listed at $285. I made an offer at $250. They came back at $260. They accepted $260. Then they changed their mind and countered at $265 because the husband had got involved. I said, fine, I'll do $265, but you have to sign today. Then sure enough, they got an offer that afternoon at $300,000. I said, that doesn't make any sense. They said, if you can do $280, we'll do it now. I said, you guys are liars. They said, what? I said, this is crazy. They said, oh, by the way, that $300,000 offer, well, they're not going to pay us up front. It'll be over 10 months. Gotcha. So I said, look, I'll pay you $275,000. We'll get the deal done now. That offer is still pending, so we'll see what happens. Anyways, that's $275K. You got to pay it all up front. There's no financing here. Now, the economics as it relates to a short-term rental are pretty interesting. With 3 bedrooms, you'll get about $250 per night in the low season, $300 per night in the high season. If we add a 4th bedroom, you'll get about another $50 to $100 per night per bedroom. With 4 bedrooms, you're looking at $300 to maybe $400 a night, low season, high season. You'll have about 70% occupancy, and then the actual costs to run the Airbnb are super low. Your margins are really high. So all said and done, that should spit out $3,000 to $4,500 a month after all expenses, which is pretty awesome. And so you only have 29 years on the lease, so you don't own the thing forever. You could sell the lease, but you're not going to build equity past that. Now you could flip the lease, but you're not going to have this lifetime legacy of building equity like you might get with traditional real estate in the US. There's no tax benefit, so super high ROI, but it comes with some other downsides that you might not get with US real estate. And so yeah, fingers crossed the deal goes through. Next question is, when does the Land Insights data platform release? It's November 21st. We're doing a launch party at 3 p.m. PST. It's a 6-hour launch party. The guys are going to be drinking. I probably won't. We'll probably be smoking cigars. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to share the data platform. We're going to hang out, and we're going to open up 40 new spots on that call to join Land Insights. Super awesome. Next question is also about Land Insights. It's a question that roughly says, what is the pricing model for the Land Insights data platform? Really simple. If you're a Land Insights user, 6 cents per record, a la carte, no questions asked, no minimums, none of that funny business. Free landlocked scrubs, 50% off all other scrub features. That means 2 credits per scrub. Once you eclipse 75,000 data points per year, the logical thing to do would be to move over to the unlimited data platform. You don't have to, but it would make sense. That's at $4,500 per year, unlimited data. You could pull 1 million data points a month if you want. In our land business, we're pulling about 200,000 data points a month right now. So frankly, I'd probably go broke if we were using an a la carte model at that point. And that has the same litany of benefits with the free landlocked scrubs and all that good stuff. And now it's important that I note that you have to be a Land Insights user to get access to that. Maybe down the line, we'll roll out a light version with a different pricing model, but those prices are exclusively for Land Insights users. Next question is, how many leads are you generating in your land business right now? It's floating around like the 250 to 300. 300 on a good month. As we moved into this election cycle, it's closer to 250 new leads inside of our CRM. That translates to 5 to 10 contracts a month on the acquisition side, but we actually are in the process of doubling our marketing. In fact, we already have. It just hasn't caught up to our lead flow yet. So presumably in the next 60 days or so, we should be consistently hitting 500, 600 plus leads in our CRM every month. Which, will that double our contract volume? We'll see, but I expect that we'll be doing 10 to 15 contracts a month at that clip. All right, the next question is, what is my favorite marketing channel for land investors? It's really, really simple. There's kind of a hierarchy that we go through. In the beginning, it's going to be direct mail. You're going to run that for 1 to 2 years. You're going to master that. Don't master that until you've sent like hundreds of thousands of pieces of direct mail, okay? If you've sent out 50,000 pieces of direct mail, you have haven't mastered it. You haven't even gotten close to the upper limits of what that can provide for you. Next, we're going to bolt on cold texting. That's usually at the 2 to 3 year mark. Once we're going to bolt it on, once you have a team in place in your business, typically a generalist VA and an acquisition manager in your business, okay? From there, it's really anyone's guess on what's best next. Some people say cold calling, some people say RVMs, illegal. Some people say cold email. I would probably say cold email. We're doing a lot of cold email myself. I would say they're all roughly the same. I haven't seen a monumental difference between them. RVMs are super cheap, but there's obviously risk there, so tread lightly. The next question is in the same vein, and that is as it relates to RVMs. So look, I'm not a TCPA expert, but I've done a good amount of research. I've dabbled with RVMs. We do use them for internal communication, so I won't bluff. Like, we do use them, but I don't use them for any kind of cold marketing. It just scares me a little bit too much. Plenty of people do. Plenty of people are just fine. I've also heard some horror stories, so like anything, take it with a grain of salt. There's always going to be some good and some bad. But the problem that I was seeing with RVMs is that when I started to dig into it, it wasn't like, oh no, these are like in a gray area. It was like, no, these are objectively not legal. People still do use them, but I didn't really see much gray area, where some of these other alternative channels definitely are way more gray, where a ringless voicemail just didn't seem to have any wiggle room. So we've opted against using it in our cold marketing. You certainly could make a case for using it as like a sniper, and I probably wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, again, bad luck could hit anyone, but these people that are getting fined, they're doing huge numbers, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 RVMs a month. So at that point, you're more than likely to come across a bad egg. Next question is, what is my favorite internal communication tools for talking with my team? Yeah, really, it's simple. Slack, just point blank, period, end of story. I haven't found a better one. Some people use Discord. My theory is that Discord, or not even theory, my experience is that Discord is much better for communities. It's not great for teams, in my opinion. For a lot of reasons, I just find the communications a lot cleaner inside of Slack. Slack is terrible for communities, in my opinion. The pricing model, doesn't really make sense for it. So Discord for communities, Slack for internal communication. I really have not found anything that even comes close to Slack. So it's a clear winner in my book. Next question is, what is the defining difference I see between successful LEA members and less successful LEA members? Yeah, man, good question. I think the unfortunate truth, and I never wanted to be clumped in this category, but the unfortunate truth of coaching or teaching a business model is inherently there are people that float in that sphere that are looking for, frankly, the get rich quick scheme. They're looking for the path of least resistance with the most upside. And that's a fair thing to want to find. Like, that's the holy grail. Everyone wants that. And I'm naive. I haven't been around the block that many times, but in my little bit of life experience, I've never found a business model that provides that. Just the word business, it should just be shifted to hard, really fucking hard. It's just hard. No matter what the business model is, it's just hard. And so I think the defining difference is probably the expectation. Some people are coming in with the expectation that, yeah, this is going to be hard, and this is going to take a while, and so I'm playing the long game. Other folks, they aren't. And frankly, we live in this day and age nowadays where folks are obsessed with going wide, right? People can recite to you all the news headlines from a 10-second TikTok video, but they can't actually speak on the topic, right? Same thing. We build buildings nowadays that crumble in 100 years. Ancient civilizations built buildings that lasted thousands of years. Like, we're just in a time and space where people want things done quickly, and thinking in the long term and going deep on things, it just isn't popular. Like, if I told someone that they could become outlandishly rich by working really hard for the next 10 years, most people aren't interested in that. That's not sexy, but that's the truth of any business model. Like, if you literally think in 10-year increments, it's unbelievable how far you're going to go. It's unbelievable. And at that point, it almost doesn't even matter what the vehicle is. Do something long enough, get good at it, and continue doing it, and it's going to pay ridiculous dividends. And it pays ridiculous dividends because it's coveted, and it's coveted because it's fucking hard to do. And most people aren't good at doing hard things. That's just the honest truth. And so I think that all boils down to expectations. I think everyone has the ability to do hard things, but when your expectation is, yeah, I'm looking to get rich quick, 6 months, a year, change my life. It's like, no, that will never happen. If that's the expectation, as soon as something gets hard, you're throwing in the towel. Trouble is, that thing will follow you for the rest of your life. No matter what you do next, that little negative part of you that throws in the towel, that's a quitter, that'll always be there. That'll always be there. Doesn't matter what you do next. Doesn't matter. That will always show up. And so that's why I always talk about, like, business is the reflection. Business is ultimately you being able to look in the mirror and look at your character and look at where you're at. And life ultimately, to some extent, is a video game. So good news is you get to upgrade your character. We all have character deficits. We all have things that we struggle with, but you get to change that. And so some people get that reflection back to them and they say, oh, oh, okay, I'm hitting some challenges and I realize a lot of it's up here. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna dig in. I'm gonna get this fixed. I'm gonna get this resolved. Other folks, unfortunately, they just run the other way. And so I think that boils down to expectations. I think that is the key thing. And I was talking about this recently inside of Leah, but I think it's paramount that I make sure that I'm always clear with expectations. And if I ever have been not clear, I apologize, because I want to be crystal clear for anyone out here, whether you're inside the community or not. It really doesn't matter. If you're watching this YouTube video and you're thinking about getting started in land, just understand that there's an upside here, great opportunity. People do make a killing quickly. Like, it happens, but don't expect it. That's a windfall. It's a blessing, and it can happen. There's not a lot of businesses, for example, there's actually hardly any businesses that I can think of. Let's just look at it as an example in terms of, like, you open up an agency, right? And then you do like a marketing agency. There is no shot that somehow in your first month you could make $250,000. It's impossible. Land, like, it's theoretically possible. Maybe not your first month, but maybe your first 60 days. Like, it happens, but that's such an outlier situation. I think people get enamored by those stories or like seeing that stuff. And for just about everyone, that's a lot of money. And that feels like, holy crap, that could happen to me. I'm gonna go roll like the lottery, roll the dice and see what happens. But when we roll the lottery, we're not looking to play for the long term, and we're not looking to stick around and actually develop skills and put those skills to practice. So long story short, or long story long, it's expectations, in my opinion. Next question, what is the biggest thing that I've struggled with in my business career? It's been a short one. I'm still young and relatively new, and I'm sure I'll face many other challenges. Yeah, I think it's twofold, to be honest. I think the first fold of it is trying to actually get to the core of my motivations. Am I just doing things to prove something? Am I doing things because I feel like I'm loving them or helpful or like changing the world, like doing something good? And trying to weed those things out. And I think the truth is, at the beginning of my journey, I was desperate to prove myself. That goes back a long time ago. And so when you're coming from that place, I don't think your actions will ever be aligned. I think you start to get yourself into situations where you're like, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to appease other people, I suppose, but I'm forgetting myself in the process. The next one's a weird one, and it's one that I don't want to come across the wrong way or misspeak on, but I think you do start to hit this inflection point in your career where all of a sudden there's more opportunity than there's more of you, right? And when that happens, I think the natural urge perhaps is to grab every opportunity that comes your way, or partnership or collaborate, like just do everything. There's a price to pay that comes with that though. And so I think that's something that I've been wrestling with, is how do I choose my battles better? And how do I choose the things that I want to sink myself into? And how do I not say yes so much? How do I not spread myself so thin? And how do I protect my energy in the process? The last thing I ever want to do is quit early because I didn't protect myself. It's a fool's errand to give up 10 years in because you burned yourself out. It's like, well, that might require rejigging and redesigning things, but how can I stick around for 30, 40, 50, 60 years and do it in a way that's sustainable for myself? And so I think being a lot more selective with the things that I say yes to and the decisions that I make, and also understand that you don't always have to be in this season of doing things, both personally, but also in your business. I really believe a business can look like this, and that's okay. I don't think that's a bad thing. But when you've been in this game for a long time, once you start to level out, you feel like something's wrong, and you start to get paranoid, and then you start to question yourself. You start to think, am I being lazy? Am I dropping the ball? Am I missing an opportunity? Am I going to regret this? Am I going to look back one day and say I made a huge mistake by going and sitting on my hands for a little bit? And the real answer is probably not. Opportunities are like trains. A lot of times they come back around a few times. It's not going to be your only chance to catch it. And if it is, so be it. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. And I think that's what happens too, is you start to see folks that move more into this place of just having faith and being at peace and not having to grab at every opportunity. Yeah, letting things flow a bit more. Next question is, what does fulfillment look like for you? And that's a good question, because I talk about this a good amount. The land business is not fulfilling really in any capacity, and that's okay. I mean, it has its moments. And maybe there is a way to make the land business fulfilling. I guess we'll talk about that. And perhaps this is what also is fulfilling for me. I think first, doing hard things with people that you love, aka ideally your team members, and having a real culture and a camaraderie and a connection with each other, and one-upping each other and pushing each other and egging each other on to be better, and creating an environment where you can have that competition, but you can still be there for each other. It's not this dog-eat-dog world. It's like, we can play in roughhouse, but we also got each other. I think that brings more fulfillment than almost anything else in business. And that kind of removes whatever the thing is that you're actually solving or doing, and brings so much fun and excitement. There's just this weird multiplying power that happens when you get a bunch of people that are connected in the same space. It's like, if each person was worth 1 point, you might have 4 people, but the score total is 10 points. It's like the sum is greater than its parts type thing. And so you can also just move mountains and do incredible things when you've got that kind of unity. So I find that fulfilling. Kind of on that same note, going and doing hard things together. So going and saying, we're going to go and slay this dragon, whatever that dragon is, climb this mountain. Like, I don't mean literally, but in the business, we've got this big hairy goal that we know is going to suck and would be terrible to do on our own, but let's gamify it. Let's make it kind of fun to go and do this and just go nuts with each other, just go crazy. Can we just push the envelope? And I think that's a lot of what we've done with Land Insights. I mean, you got to remember that, just rewind the clocks to June 2023, Land Insights was a Tableau database, and it was just for market selection, and it was just for counties. So you're talking about fast forwarding a year and a half and having a tool that doesn't even look similar, that is now kind of an all-in-one data solution for land investors. That's a year and a half. And that's, again, not to toot-toot or poo-poo or toot-toot or whatever the heck the saying is in terms of what we've accomplished. That's more a testament to, like, damn, there's a crazy power that happens when you get people working on a common mission and pushing each other. And I find that really fulfilling. Outside of that, I think that, making sure that the folks that you work with, in terms of like the client side, the customer side, are taken care of. And it is a balance. I think I used to have a lot of insecurities around that. And so I would always just bend. I would never dig my heels in for what I felt was right. So I don't think that a business should be this doormat that people just get to step on. It's like your customer's like, order me a pizza, and you order them a pizza because you're good, good at customer service. And you order the pizza and it's the wrong pizza, and they chew you out. And they're like, you're going to foot the bill for that. Like, you can't let clients, customers, people abuse you. And that can happen when your customer service is too nice, or you're too bending or too pleasing. But I do think that providing a high quality of service to everyone that you come across, whether it's title companies, realtors, sellers, buyers, like, make sure that you step up there and you're communicative. Doesn't mean that you don't advocate for what's right, but providing a quality service, providing a service that is memorable. People say, damn, that was a great experience. Like, whatever it might have been, like, wow, I'm actually impressed. I'm impressed they went above and beyond. And I think that feels really good. And hopefully it feels good for the folks that are on the receiving end of it. So those are the things that bring me fulfillment. Now, outside of that, it's being able to be a good boyfriend. It's being able to be positive light in my community. And when I see the opportunity, helping people, not even just financially, but as a human, but being a good human, focusing less on being a great person and just being a good person. Can I be a shoulder for someone to lean on? Can I be a sounding board for someone to bounce ideas off of? Can I maybe share some wisdom or lessons that I've learned where folks are going through something similar? Can I just bring good energy to people? Can I make people feel good? If you can start to figure out some of your professional life, and you can start to build some identity there and some meaning in your life from there, maybe you can start making some money. You start to stop worrying about bills or the stress of making money and living. That opens up all of this freedom in your life, all of this room. Decide what you want to be and who you want to be. And when you're in that kind of fight or flight survival state, I don't think you get to ask yourself those same questions. And so there's a real cool ripple effect that happens. But I think there's a fork in that road. Some people are going to get lost in the sauce and be focused on greatness over being good. Some people are going to say, greatness is overrated. I just want to be good. I think that's the path that I'm walking, or trying to walk. Next question is, how is my boxing training going? It's going good. So it's hard to really estimate like what my actual start date was. I've probably done at this point 10 sessions. So like proper training, super new. Before I moved to Bali, I started like just kind of effing around on the bag at the gym. The gym I went to had a bag, and I would just mess around with it. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to throw a jab. I didn't know how to throw a cross hook. None of it. But I would just hit the bag and mess around and just get a good sweat. But I knew I was terrible. I was like, God, something just feels wrong. Like, I'd watch videos. I'm like, I look terrible doing this. And then some of my friends in Las Vegas had started this like little Sunday sparring session, and I'd go there with them and I'd get my ass kicked. I'm like, dude, I'm terrible at this. And they're like, yeah, you're terrible at this. It's been funny. I feel like most of the things that I've started in my life out of the gate, I'm terrible at them. Or even just most things that I have started, businesses or skills or whatever, like I would say substantially below average in pretty much everything that I start. And I don't say that as like a humble brag. No, I literally do mean that. And boxing was definitely no exception. But because I've been bad at so many things, I have this energy from going from bad to less bad to a little bit less bad to okay to decent to better. Like, that's fun for me. But I think some people have this mindset of like, I suck at it, so it's not for me. I'm like, dude, I suck at it. And I suck at a lot of other things. So I'm going to get as good at this as I possibly can. I don't know. It's just kind of like this addictive energy about that slow progression. There's something about being a beginner that is so gratifying that you just miss if you cut yourself short from going deep on things that you suck at. So anyway, that was a few months ago. So fast forward now, train twice a week with a trainer. I hit the bag almost every day. I shadow box it every day. I'm getting better. My movements are getting better. There's still so much to work on though. It's unbelievable. So I'm still very very, 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 very much in my early stages, but I'm looking for sparring partners here in Bali. So if anyone wants to train together that lives in Bali that was watching this, I would love to. All right, next question. Someone says, hey, I saw on your Instagram that you're building a motorcycle. Tell me more. Yeah, it's been a dream for me to own a motorcycle for so long, and I'd always talk myself out of it living in the States. I would always pansy out at the last minute. I'd be like, I can't do it, because for a lot of reasons. One, the drivers in the US are distracted. The speeds are super high. Like, I'm not trying to go 80 miles an hour on a freeway in California on a motorcycle. I like to go fast, I like to ride things, but that's enough for me, especially not on a daily basis. And once you have it, that starts to become normalized, and then it becomes no big deal, but that will always be a big deal in my opinion, and that you are rolling the dice. Always wanted a Harley or like a cafe racer, but talk myself out of it. And I've wanted that since I was 18, since I went to college. I always wanted that. So when I moved here, I'm like, you know what? Not only am I gonna get a motorcycle, but I'm gonna build my dream motorcycle. I'm gonna build the motorcycle that I wish I could have gotten when I was 18 years old. And so I'm doing that. So there's a really cool motorcycle outfit designer shop thing here called Malamadre. You can search them online. They've got sick builds, cool bikes. They build everything: enduro, hybrid bikes, cafe racers, kind of more chopper style thing. I mean, they've got it all. So I'm building a cafe racer. It's 400 cc's, which for Bali's plenty. Most of the bikes here are like 100 to 150. If you see a 250, that's rare. 300 is rare. So 400 cc's, that's a lot of bike for these roads. It's a brand new Suzuki motor and bike. It's really interesting. So there's all these weird tariffs and taxes on motorcycles here in Bali. If it's over 250 cc's, prices get crazy. Like if you wanted to buy a Harley here, you're talking about 25, 30, 35 grand for like a base Harley, like an Iron 883, which is like a $10,000 bike back in the US. And that's for a used one, not even probably a new one, if it has its papers, right? So you can find stuff on the black market. That's a whole different game. So if you want a bike with papers, it's over 250 cc's, the price gets wacky, tens of thousands, like ridiculous prices. But if the bike was built or finished in Indonesia, that's the loophole. So this Suzuki was actually finished in Indonesia, not built here, but finished in Indonesia. So it's the loophole around that. So the bike new, you can get one for like, I don't think maybe 7 grand, 7,500. While I'm at the shop with the guy, he's like, hey, I actually know a guy that's got one. We hit him up. He doesn't want to sell. We hit up this other guy. He doesn't want to sell. We actually hit up the dealer at the Suzuki kind of head dealership here in Bali, who just got one. He's got 5,000 kilometers. He's like, yeah, I want to sell. I want to get it done quick. So I think I made him an offer at, I forget, 6 grand, 5,800, something like that. He said yes. We picked up the bike. So that's the kind of the starter bike. Send it off to the shop, ordered all these parts from Germany. It's called, I think, Moto Gadget. I don't know, something like that. Really cool, just beautiful. Like the mirrors aren't glass, they're all stainless steel on it. There's really cool parts and really cool finish. And then they go and do a whole build and completely change the look of the bike. So cafe racer, and I'm going one of my favorite colors, which is a British racing green. It's kind of like a nice, beautiful, deep green. And it's just badass blacked out in a lot of the areas. Big tires on it, sick, new exhaust, super loud. It's gonna be the business. I actually just got a text from them. They got the bike, they're waiting on the part. So should be in the next 30, 60, 90 days, fingers crossed. Right now I'm riding like a little 150cc CRF Honda dirt bike. It's dope, it's cool. The clutch is braking on it, that's a different story, but it's slow. So I can't wait to get that. Then we're getting Sarah a little Vespa, and that's gonna be the fleet. I will add a dirt bike at some point. I want like a 250cc, 300cc dirt bike to add to that. And I might even take it to their shop, and they do like this crazy metal looking bike. They strip it and it's like all this like prefabricated metal on it. It's really cool. So anyways, that's that. I think we're gonna end this Q&A here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, thumbs up. Leave a comment down below if you guys liked it. If you guys got questions for the next Q&A, pop it down below. See you guys in the next one. Bye.